Check Complete, a referee podcast, is an educational resource for referees by referees, designed to connect and develop soccer officials of all ages and skill levels to better serve the game both on and off the field. Episode 7 of the Check Complete podcast, 007. Jason, do you feel stealthy?
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Like the spies that we are. Yes.
I think they're looking for a new 007, so maybe.
You think I could pull that off?
I think you could.
I've got the physique for it. That's for
They
sure.
got trainers.
They got trainers. What are you trying to say? Don't let that one slide. Anyway, Jason, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Excited.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're here. It went well the first time, and I know we shed some weight for co-hosts last time, but we like Jason, so we brought him back. We're excited to have him back with us. So, episode 7. It's amazing. We've come this far.
Congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
a big. I've been told that's a big moment.
Apparently.
Episode 7.
Yeah, we're learning.
If you get to 7, it's a good sign.
Yeah, if you win 7-0 in ping pong, it's a skunk. If you get to 7-0 in ping pong, I think that's a skunk.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a true
That
story.
is an abstract bit of trivia. I would guess you learned that from your Uncle Tim.
He's full of that and other things.
Sounds like something Tim would know.
Hey, yeah. So, it's Check Complete podcast. We digress. We're back with episode 7. Hope you enjoyed. If you haven't had a chance, go back and watch all of them. They're really fantastic. The host is really good too. But the last interview with Rich Grady was really outstanding. So if you haven't caught up, maybe you've watched some of the first ones, get to episode 6, watch that, and then you're caught up and you're with us now, right?
And Rich was really good. Like, he offered a lot of insight. I loved that he could quote all of the new rules for NCAA. That was quite impressive that he rattled those off.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
He's a real deal. That was a great conversation. So with this week, we've got a couple things on our agenda. We brought Jason back, one, because we like him, but 2, the coach and referee combo perspective is really good. And we'll talk about what that will look like here in a second with this segment, the first one. And then we have our second segment is a recorded interview I did last week with 3 different guys that have gone from player to referee. And that's something that we continue to try to push in our area, and coaches are a part of that too, of pushing players to say, hey, wherever you're at in your playing journey, a lot of that is, younger players, 13s. I happened to catch both of these guys, or 2 of the 3 guys, on the back end of their college careers. And then they got into officiating. And that's another great place. It can be a little bit difficult just with entry-level jobs and starting families and all that kind of stuff. But for players that are wrapping things up at the back end of college careers, and this is a great opportunity to stay and kind of give back to the game, stay involved, make some money, make friendships, all that kind of stuff. So we'll hear from them about what that was like.
Cool. Like I said, it's great. It's players bring a lot of knowledge to the game. I mean, we're getting to the point now where players are high level and can continue as referees when they don't have a playing career anymore.
Yeah.
We have some really good referees that are transitioning from college players to referees.
Yeah, and we're always looking for more. So the whole segment or the whole episode, I'm sure, is worth sending on. But especially that, if you know someone who is a player and is thinking about, hey, maybe I might want to referee, I would encourage you to just send them that bit or just our episode and say, hey, if nothing else, watch the 20 minutes that we chat with those guys, because they articulate some really good points about why they got involved, and then why they've enjoyed getting involved and moving up the ladder and working better and higher level and games with more money, all that.
Are you discreetly saying that this 20 minutes isn't going to be very good?
This is...
I'm sorry for bringing the level down.
Yeah, you're going to owe me dinner for that. So our first segment is... one thing I want to talk with Jason, and this kind of came out of a game that I worked recently where... I'll see if we can screen record this and there was a penalty kick decision, and it was in the Kansas State High School 6A. This is our highest. We go 1 through 6 in Kansas, and this was in the semifinal recently, where I was in the middle of a girls' high school semifinal game, and there was a crash between a goalkeeper and an attacker, and bouncing ball inside the penalty area, and the attacker gets her head to it first, kind of heads it weakly past, and the goalkeeper comes out, and we've got both arms, both fists straight to the face. And so I see this, and I'm like, and she drops, and she drops like a sack of hammers. You know, I don't know who has sacks of hammers, but she dropped like one. And she, and I'm like, that's a penalty kick. So I blow everybody was thinking I was signaling goal kick, I think. I don't know. You can see it. We'll put it into our stories. I call it penalty kick. And it was so weird because, we were talking about this a little bit before we started to air, no one really reacted for the team that was offended, so the home team. And they, like, the girl was just, I don't know, I think she was just playing just to get up and drop back for the goal kick. And the coaches really didn't react. It was weird. And then when I called the penalty kick, the visiting team, who is now potentially and does get scored on, their coaches are going ballistic about it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that got me thinking, and this has been something that we've had off conversations with, and you might be in wherever you're at having these types of conversations. How much do we rely on, and not necessarily rely on, but listen to feedback that we get from people other than our crew?
Right.
Okay, so we'll talk, today we're gonna narrow it to just coaches because Jason's here, and then on a different segment, we'll talk about things we can gain from the players,
right,
and kind of context clues that we can pick up. And then even sometimes, honestly, even spectators at times, there can be something that you're like, do we just tune them out? Is there anything worthwhile that's worth listening to that's coming from the bleachers?
I think there sometimes is.
And there can be.
It's, I know they're obnoxious at times, but oftentimes they're seeing something that is there.
Right.
And it's something you have to at least file away and
right,
and consider as you continue through the game.
Right. So today we're just gonna hit on coaches on that piece of this. So the questions that kind of prompt this discussion are, how much do we listen to and engage with the coaches? When is it helpful? How much is too much to listen to? And so I think, and one really good point that Mark Tiemann, he's behind the camera. He does a lot of work for us. He does everything. Let's be honest. He was talking about, and I love this. And I worked with a basketball official that had this same philosophy of, like, the first time we talk to a coach should not be for discipline purposes.
Right.
We should be there early enough that we can go shake somebody's hand, introduce ourselves, have a positive interaction. Obviously, depends on the level that you're working about what those interactions might look like, right? But week in and week out, let's just talk, your weekend warrior, week in and week out youth leagues across the country and even the world. Coaches are there really to help, and we talked about this a little in the previous episode, to provide a safe place and a fun place for their kids to learn and develop and enjoy the game of soccer.
Right.
And so we really aren't that different. So why would we go into situations thinking it's us against them?
Right. So
I guess I'd just let you run with this a little bit, Jason, because we were talking about this before we started. How do we go about that? What are some of your initial thoughts, especially as you come off of a full season? You're still coaching, but
yeah, I think one of the biggest things is alluding to what you just brought up with Mark's comment of, you should go introduce yourself to the referee. Or to this referee should introduce himself to the coach. Especially at the youth levels where we turn games around very quickly. I know that's harder to do.
Right.
Sometimes it's not an easy thing to do. However, we're not talking about having a cup of coffee together. It's like, just go by each bench and say, hi, my name is.
right.
That's it. It makes a huge impression. I can tell you as a coach that it very, very rarely happens that a referee comes and introduces themselves to me or the other coach. I will initiate it a lot of times because when a referee comes and checks in the team, if it's a youth referee, I'll introduce myself. I almost always try to ask them a question just about how many games they've been doing, how long have they been refereeing. And of course that's me as a coach and a referee. So I know both sides of that equation. So I know some things to ask, whereas a normal coach who doesn't referee might not know those things. But point being, go introduce yourself to the referee. Gosh, that's twice now. Go introduce yourself to the coach. I'm
Right.
speaking as a coach, and go introduce yourself to the coach so that they know your name. It just kind of breaks the ice. So that would be the first thing: is set that engagement level where you're willing to go talk to the coach and say hello.
And I think this is the old, you don't get a second chance at a first impression.
Right.
I mean, especially if you've never had that team before, right? Like there's some coaches and I might be more inclined to go say it if I've seen them before,
Right.
But starting out strong with that good connection, and it's not like you're, I don't know. I think some people think, am I being overly friendly? Is it going to appear wrong? Am I sucking up?
No, but that's why you go talk to both.
Exactly. Talk to both. Have the
Talk to both
conversation.
coaches. It's not an issue.
Yes, yeah. Be nice, for crying out loud, and start off on a good foot. And I think, there's some coaches that are notoriously more difficult.
Right.
They might have a reputation around your local league or the tournament or something like that. I think that's even more important.
Yeah,
to
break
go
the
over
ice.
and just say, hey, nice to see you. Good luck today. Anything, everybody healthy? How's the season going? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you have time, have a little conversation. Ask them a couple questions about their team. As a referee, isn't that information that can help us?
Right.
Do you have any injuries? How's your team doing over the course of the season? Just little things that will help you as a referee have that context to this team and that team. That's all information that can be helpful.
Right, and make sure, if possible, do your research enough that you know who to go to talk to.
Right.
Right. There's many times that female coaches will not be approached first. They're assumed to be the assistants.
Right.
And that is not good, and it's not good to start your game on that foot where you go up and you go to shake the hand of the head coach and she's over there. That's me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh gosh, we're already in a hole here. But those are really, really important. And even on the other way too, where I've talked to some female. I was talking with one of our female referees a couple weeks ago. We were doing a high school game together, and she talked about how she goes, I can feel a different level of respect or lack thereof.
Right.
As a woman.
Right.
Or even they'll come up to the crew and they'll make the assumption that the male is going to be in the middle, right? And then there's this action of like this response of surprise when she's like, no, I am, so that shows we got a lot of work to do in that area.
Certainly.
So, but that's step one, right? Starting out on a good foot, going, hey, again, with notorious coaches, I've told this to some of my peers, I understand he or she's probably going to be a jerk for 70, 80, 90 minutes, whatever the game you're doing. But I'm going to start off on the right foot.
Right.
And we'll let the coach kind of dictate where we're going to go with this, right?
Yeah. Give them a chance to start at zero. Don't give them the negative before you even started the game.
Exactly. And I've had this conversation with a few local high school coaches where they'll, I'll get there early and they go, hey, who's in the middle today? And I'll say a name and they're like, oh man, he blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, you wouldn't want us going, oh man, 2 weeks ago you acted like this. You want us to give you a clean slate, right?
Right.
So why would you not offer that referee a clean slate?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that's not that you go in with both eyes closed and hopes that suddenly everything has changed about a person since you saw him 2 weeks ago. I mean, you kind of keep one eye open and be ready for what has been a reputation. Yeah. At the same time, like, hey, we'll have a clean slate to start this thing. And then if you're wanting to take us that route,
then we'll go there.
We can go there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that first conversation is essential. That way, the first interaction with the coach that's enough.
Right.
Right. That's never positive. So
I think an important thought when we're talking about that is, it's hard for a coach to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Negative or mean to someone who's taken the time to introduce themselves. Right. If you've gone and you've made an effort to break a little bit of that tension, that barrier between referee and coach, it's hard for that coach to then immediately become negative to you when you've made an effort to be positive with them.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, it's genuinely, if a referee approaches me as a coach and has a quick conversation, it lets me know where they're at, as opposed to completely ignoring me and then it's not good.
Right.
And I'm already, we just haven't had that positive interaction. So it's hard to be negative towards somebody when you've made an effort to establish a connection with the coach.
Right. And to go back 2 episodes, this is really the humanization, right?
Right.
That officially human group that if you haven't checked them out, Brenda was an amazing guest for
great.
us, and they're doing some awesome stuff, and I'm hoping to bring some of that to Kansas. But that humanization piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's not like this isn't just another referee, like you got to meet Gordie today, you know? And you got to have that interaction that I'm sure will make you scream into your pillow or call your therapist if you had me as your ref. But yeah, that I think that's essential. And then obviously, you know, one of the hallmark characteristics of an effective referee is to be a good communicator during the game. And I think if you can start you're off on the right foot with going, hey, I'm going to go shake hands and meet this coach and demonstrate that I can effectively communicate.
Right.
You know, I think that's huge. When we're looking for younger referees that want to move up, or referees of any age that want to move up or that have promise, I'm finding that for me, it's the ones that stand out are the ones that have personalities.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can have some folks that are very black and white that are just, okay, that's great. You have a future as a professional assistant referee, you know? But I think there was a young lady in the referee office today when I was out watching games. She's 17 or 18 years old and great personality. I mean, just really bubbly, you know, witty. There were several of us, we were joking around, and I was like, I haven't even seen a referee, and she's probably pretty good. Right? If you can communicate that way. So to go back to what we were saying, going in, having that conversation right out of the chute, I think helps quite a bit. So during the game.
So during the game, you know, again, we talked a little bit before we just got started here. I think that most coaches want to provide positive feedback for referees.
Yeah.
I think that most coaches just want a game to be refereed fairly. And if they're reacting to small things here and there, they're just trying to make a referee aware of, hey, watch for that. You know, not you screwed up the entire game, you're an awful referee, just hey, be aware that this is happening. Be aware that this is happening. Maybe it's a player who's consistently coming in late on tackles, but it hasn't been called for whatever reason. You know, it's I had some of that this weekend of just the referee just wasn't really alert to the fact that the ball would get played out, but the player pressuring this player that kicked the ball was following through a little bit late. And it didn't seem to affect the play, but it was happening consistently. And eventually one of my players kind of got banged up a little bit. And it wasn't the end of the world, but it just, so I'm saying, hey, just watch number 7, because that's about the 3rd time they've come in and done that. And I'm not trying to change the game in my favor. I'm not trying to, you know, say that you've screwed up the whole game. I'm just saying these are things you need to be aware of. And I think that's what a lot of coach feedback is it's just an effort to make us aware of something that we might have missed.
Right.
And so it's got to be something that goes into your mind, into your file folder, so to speak, for that particular game. Okay, I don't have to get angry with that coach. I don't have to respond to that coach, but I can file it away and at least keep an eye on it.
Right.
I can say, all right, he says number 7's causing something. I'm going to watch number 7 for the next 5 minutes, and I'm going to see if I see what that coach sees. And maybe you do, and maybe you don't. But it's at least receiving that feedback of saying, okay, I'll make an effort to look for that kind of thing. So I think that's just, you know, I think most coach feedback initially is meant to be helpful. Now, yes, does it sometimes go past the point of being helpful? Yeah, certainly it does. There are coaches that, because again, if there's not the response they're looking for in that first instance, then maybe it gets escalated later because you didn't do something about the first one. I know there's things they tell us at regionals in terms of, you know, kind of some phrases you can use with coaches. I hear what you're saying. I'll keep an eye on it. Like there's not much argument that a coach can give you if you go to them and say, I'll keep an eye on it. You know, thanks for letting me know. You know, appreciate your feedback, whatever, something like that, just to respond and give them the attention that they're looking for to that particular issue.
Right.
And now you've you've addressed it with them, you've given them a chance to be heard. Whether you use it or not is up to you, but you've at least given them a chance to be heard, and feel like the feedback they're giving has been considered.
Right.
And that, again, that can go a long way. That can go a long way towards problem solving and not letting a coach continue to get elevated throughout a game.
Right.
So.
Well, you answered the question I was going to ask, and that was, what are the responses? You can follow up on this even more if you'd like. What are the responses that you find most beneficial as a coach?
I referee youth games.
Right.
And so a lot of our referees are youth referees.
Right.
And if I'm speaking very generally, kids that are referees nowadays don't talk much to the coaches.
Right.
And so when I'm saying what feedback do I get that's helpful, I don't get much feedback at all because most of the time kids just get defensive and tell you to shut up, tell you to stop talking, no more. Even if, and it's hard for me because I wear two hats. I wear the hat of a coach, but I also wear the hat of a referee and referee mentor and referee coach and for a while referee instructor. So it's hard when I know my intent is to help the referee. But that's not obviously how they see me in that moment. And so it's difficult sometimes to differentiate my feedback. I think that one thing I try to do as a coach sometimes is I try to provide feedback that doesn't benefit my own team. In other words, I will say numerous times through the game, I will tell the referee that they missed a call that should have gone against us. And so they're hearing me saying, it's not just me wanting a free kick, but it's, hey, that should have been a foul on my player. That kind of thing.
Right.
Where at least lets them know all I'm looking for is a good game. I'm not trying to just gain favor from my own team. So, but I think more referees need to provide some response of at least acknowledgement, because a lot of times you get the talk to the hand kind of response, where they've just been taught that don't accept any sort of talk from coaches, and I think that's unfortunate because it takes away probably some things that could help you manage the game. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the sideline behavior has been so poor for so long from the parent side. It's hard to I'm going to listen to this side, but I'm going to disengage with this side. Right? The coaches are here. I want to listen and engage. Yeah. Over here, I'm completely disengaged.
Right.
And so I understand for a 15-year-old kid that could be challenging, right. But trying to help people shift gears a little bit and embrace that conversation a little bit. And I can almost hear some of you now saying, okay, so you're telling me that I'm going to listen to the coach and then call things that they're asking me to call, and that could be perceived as, I have to yell to get calls. I think that's not really what we're saying.
Right.
And we do need to be mindful of that, right? Like if you're very vocal and the other coach isn't very vocal, and you're wanting this and this and this and this, and suddenly we're giving you this and this and this, and we're not giving it the other way because
they're not asking
for it. I think that's something you have to be mindful
of.
And
again, I try to balance my feedback as a coach.
Right.
I'm not out there just asking for every call. I really try to make sure that the referee's learning from the game, because the games are the best teacher for our referees.
Right.
It's not watching a video on USSF website.
Right.
It's nice, but it's not practical in the sense of real life learning. So I think that our kids are learning it within the game, and they've got to have some feedback of that. I would say one thing I think that I've learned, and it's, you got to use it at the right time, in the right situation, but just going to the coach and saying, you know what, I made a mistake. I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Right.
Again, there's times that can get you in trouble, no question. But there's also times that, because what's a coach going to say? You come over and you admit you made a mistake. What more is he going to yell at? They admitted it. I don't have much else to say now. And so, again, minor things, a throw-in. You miss the throw-in going one direction or the other. there's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, coach, I probably missed that one. I'm really sorry." It's just, it was one of those
Right.
ones where I thought it hit this other player, something like that. That's one where you can admit a mistake there, and the coach recognizes you're human and you're owning it, and you probably gain a little favor in that moment. So.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. And being able to just be honest, I think, is very helpful.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, the honesty if I missed it, or even just saying, listen, the angle, I worked hard to get an angle, and the angle that I got didn't give me the information that was a foul.
That's great. Yeah, there
Right?
you go. Yeah,
Like,
that's
I said
excellent.
that the other day. I said, I understand probably from your look, that's what you had.
Yeah,
From my look, that's not what I had.
Yeah.
I saw something different.
right.
And the response was,
There's not much they can say to that.
Okay,
I mean, that's
right.
It is what it is.
Right.
You can't. Things look different from one side to the other. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 40 yards away in the center circle, coach. I
Yeah.
just didn't have the angle for that penalty kick. They'll love that response. Yeah. So I think what we're trying to get at here, and I think most of you probably know this, but especially for like brand new referees, understanding, hey, it isn't just us versus them.
Right.
It may be 60 minutes into the game, maybe it's turned into that a little bit.
Right.
That and so you have to deal with things differently. I saw a referee today, coach reacted really poorly, and the referee let him have his reaction. It wasn't inappropriate, but poorly. And then the coach said something like, "Man, you were just terrible today." And the referee just goes, "Beep, beep, yellow card,
Yeah.
off we go."
Yeah.
And it was a 9v9 game.
Yeah.
And it's really confident, great whistle, dealt with it. And I asked him afterwards what happened. And so I think understanding like, okay, the reaction, he didn't like something earlier, whatever. We listened to the reaction, and maybe there's something we garner from that.
Yeah.
Who knows? But then when they do get to that point, it's like, no, okay. And that's just part of the job, right? It doesn't need to be overly emotional. It's something I needed to learn in basketball. It's like you have that reaction, the technical foul, and you're like, whack, and it's just.
By the way, I'm a big fan of your technical.
Yeah.
Your hand signal for the technical foul. I've seen you do that live and in person, and it's impressive.
It is pretty
really
good.
love it.
I'll be honest.
The 2-finger.
Kind of a big deal. Yeah. I have many leather-bound books, but no, I yes, absolutely. But I think just understanding like, hey, it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
We don't need to. It doesn't need to be a big ordeal. We're trying to manage and change behavior, and so sometimes it requires more of our toolbox.
Yeah.
But developing the toolbox here, if we're talking about toolbox stuff, it's first of all just listening and taking that in, not just tuning it out. But at a certain point, you know what? Like, hey, coach, you got something every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's either I'm going to tune you out or I'm going to throw you out. Like, those are our options now, okay? But if we can pick things, because I know I'm bad, but I'm not that bad. I heard the late Gordon Crape say that too.
Right.
Coach,
Bad,
one of
but
our
not that bad.
one of
That's
our the godfather of assigning in Kansas City. He said, "Coach, I understand I'm not very good, but I can't be that bad where every decision is wrong."
Right.
You just got to pick your battles. I mean, it's kind of like we're like genies. You get 3 wishes.
Yeah.
We just run out of time and
That's
space
right.
and energy and willpower to listen to it any longer. So,
Yeah.
but understanding that, hey, there might be something from that. Like if there's something along the lines of a perception of inequality, and we might need to go, hey, listen, I'm not a huge foul count person, but if we've got a team, I had a game recently where the team was really struggling. You could kind of tell from the onset that this might be a little lopsided, and the foul count ended up being 4 or 5-0 to start the game. What did I do? I'm looking for a cheap one.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, right? If I can find one that I can give to this team that's already down 2 goals and is 4 or 5 fouls to 0, you better believe it.
The value of a foul in the middle of the field.
Absolutely. We have an exciting segment here on the Check Complete podcast. We have 3 outstanding young players and now referees. So we have a segment that we are excited to launch and feature today, is this from player to referee idea, in hopes that others might follow this path. And so we have, I'm not going to introduce them. I'll let them introduce themselves. So why don't we start with, on my screen right beneath me here, Anthony, why don't you start with us? Give us your name and a little bit about you.
All right. So first of all, my name is Anthony Sobolewski. I go by Tony. It's a pleasure to be on the Check Complete podcast. So thank you, Gordie, for the invite. I just graduated from Columbia College. I played collegiate soccer there for 4 years. I went to high school at Blue Valley High School, so I'm here from Overland Park, Kansas. And yeah, now onto the referee career. So I've been refereeing since 2015 is when I first got certified, and I upgraded to grade 7 in 2018. And now my goal is to upgrade to regional this summer. So looking forward to it.
Very good. Very good. All right. Marcos, why don't you go next?
Oh, my name is Marcos. Thank you, Gordie, for inviting me here. I'm originally from Spain. I went to school at Friends University. I graduated in 2019. Played there for 4 years and a half. Ended up in Kansas City doing my master's right now, and starting my referee career. I started refereeing when I was, I don't know, probably in 2018, but it wasn't an official referee. I just became certified this last year in the spring season with the high school girls, and really excited to start college season this year as referee.
And you've just recently come off of a pretty significant injury, so you've been rehabbing and you're ready to roll, right?
Yeah, kind of. I broke my tibia and fibula 6 months ago,
Yeah.
so it was a hard tackle, but we get in there. We get in there.
There you go. So now you know how to identify red card challenges, even more so, right?
Even more.
Wow, good grief. We're glad to have you healthy and back. So, Isaac.
Yeah, my name is Isaac Gwynn. I'm originally from Southeastern Ohio. I started going to school at Tiffin University. It's a small Division II school in Northwestern Ohio, but I transferred out to Ottawa University at my sophomore year and just graduated this past, I guess it was last Saturday. So I started reffing in 2018. I had broken my ankle actually, and I had a coach that was like, well, hey, if you're not doing anything, go get certified and you can go make money once your ankle's better. So that's actually how I got into refereeing. It was just an option that when I was bored. So now we're here.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and congratulations to both of our recent graduates, gentlemen. That's fantastic. I know it was touch and go there for a while, whether graduation was going to happen, Anthony. No, I'm just kidding. Very good. Well, so you've each played at a fairly high level. So maybe expound on that a little bit more. And we can kind of go backwards the way we came. So Isaac, why don't you go first?
Yeah. So I was a goalkeeper when I played. So I often found myself yelling at the ref. I felt like the most, probably the most obnoxious guy to be yelling at the ref. I'm, yelling from sometimes 50, 60 yards away. So I'm sure I was not the most liked as a player.
Fair enough. And you don't have a very soft voice. So I'm sure you were heard.
Yeah. I tried to be heard at least.
I believe that. That's not hard for me to believe at all. Marcos?
Yeah, I was a left winger attacking mid. I was lucky enough to start my whole 4 years. I was first team, all conference, sophomore and senior year, all American senior year. And we made it to nationals in my sophomore and senior year as well. Yeah, and it was the first time in the school history to make it to nationals. So yeah, I'm glad and lucky enough to be in a great group of guys, and yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Tony?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate you guys on a successful playing career at your universities. That's awesome. Not a lot of athletes get to do that, but yeah, I got to play at Columbia College, and it was honestly such a great experience. I got some of my best friends from all over the world now, connections in Spain, connections from Brazil. So just a family that I've built throughout the years. And yeah, we made it to the national Final Four 3 years in a row. So that's something that was, I'm really proud of, and that I'm really proud of our team every year to just maintain that high level and that chemistry and work hard every single day. So yeah, no, I'm super happy I got to play at the high level, and I learned a lot, especially as a referee when I was reffing throughout the off seasons in those years too. So
yeah, absolutely. So you guys have all, just to establish a little bit about your background there, you guys have all played at a competitive, very, high level competitive level. So transitioning now to that idea of, refereeing, which you guys did sort of while you were playing in some regards. Anthony, especially, you've been really on kind of a fast track here in Kansas.
And so let's start with you then. When did you get started? How did you get started? We've already talked about this a little bit, but just let's rehearse that and go back through that a little bit.
Yeah. So I was just really involved with soccer, whether it was club, playing high school. And so with, being in Overland Park, we've got a great soccer community here. And it's actually funny, Gordie was one of my referees in a club game, and that's how I kind of met Gordie. And what's interesting is that I just wanted to have a good, side job. I heard the money was really good. That was definitely an incentive. And I just wanted to give back to the game. I wanted to learn more about the game and be around it. I always watched, soccer on TV, and I was kind of fond of referees at the pro level. So just watching them, I was like, you know what, I want to try this out. And so then a week later, after Gordie refereed me, I saw him in the referee locker room. And just like that, just like many friendships I've made throughout this refereeing career, just started just like that. We got to referee a game together, and I just fell in love with it. It became a passion more than just going out there for the money. And I've made some of the best friends that I can now call family through refereeing, and I'm learning every day, including with a game today. And just, that's what it's all about, is making connections, learning, having fun, and just giving back to the game that we love. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you watched me work, and ever since, and you've been trying to be this good, and maybe one day you'll get there. I don't know. Just
I
keep
pray every
working
night.
hard. Keep working hard, kid. Keep your chin up.
Will do.
All right, there you go. All right, Marcos, talk about your story a little bit as far as getting into refereeing.
Yeah, I was, I think, a sophomore or junior in college, and a lot of my friends from Brazil, Spain, they will be refereeing as a side job, and they told me it was good money, it was fun, and it was easy to do. So I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then I started liking it, and then I could transfer that into the game, in the meaning, like, players, depending like how will treat you, you will treat them kind of, meaning, like if a player is on you all the time, you're gonna be more like strict with him. But in my opinion, like, if a player treats you well, like we are humans, we like, it's in our heads. So you try to like talk to him, explain to him, and having a good relationship referee player, I think it's really important in the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how. And then here in Kansas City, I really liked the group of guys that I met during these 2 seasons, and I think yes, as Anthony was saying, making connections and giving back to the game that we love, it's amazing. And it also keeps me out of my routine. Like, if I work 8 to 4 and then I go ref for 3-4 hours, it's not only about the money. It's about, like, I like to be outside, been watching soccer and meeting new people and getting some fresh air also. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. A lot of what you said there is fantastic, especially having that high level playing experience. Kind of the demeanor of the officials that you appreciated, and demeanor and the behavior and the reactions of officials you didn't appreciate. And so you can adopt that. I'm sure you probably adopt that in your style about how you go working with players and things like that. Has that been the case for you?
Yeah, and also I was the captain of the team on my junior and senior year, so that also helped in the way that I was talking with the ref and through the games, before the games, after the games, because then you will see those refs all year round, even in the summer leagues. So you want to have a good relationship with them, even though you like them or don't, because that will help you. That will help you for sure. That'll help me. So
yeah, right, absolutely. So Isaac, you already kind of talked about the beginning of your referee career. Expand on that a little bit, or maybe kind of rehash some of that for us.
Yeah, like I said, it was like in between my 17s and 18s club season, I'd broken my ankle. So I had a coach that was just like, hey, we need referees while you're strung up. Why don't you go get certified? So I got certified, and I'm actually from a town that's about an hour and a half away from Columbus. I played club in Columbus, Ohio. So I had a good drive for trainings and stuff like that. So it was kind of a convenient side job while I was in school. I'd go to training, and then afterwards there's usually a game that you can find. And I don't know, with refereeing, I'm sure you guys have all seen this. It gives flexibility. You kind of pick your schedule a little bit. You get to pick, hey, I can do this game or I can't do that game. You kind of get to choose. So I like the flexibility of that. And it was great side money when I was in high school. So that's how I got into it. And then throughout college, I've just been continuing to look at opportunities because I'm sure, these two can attest as well. College schedule, it's crazy. You're always booked. So a regular 9-to-5 job or just a side job isn't always the easiest with scheduling, to where refereeing, you can kind of pick and choose your schedule. So it was a great side job throughout college as well.
Yeah. So what I've heard is flexible schedule, good money, opportunities to be outside, be around the game you love, give back to the game, camaraderie in the community. I mean, we're up to 6-7 reasons here that just out of the three of you guys, right? Am I missing anything of kind of reasons of why you got in and why you stayed in? Is that kind of summarize it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we all don't stay in to get yelled at by the parents and stuff like that. So
right. Yeah, absolutely. So there's some negatives, but those are all very, solid pieces. And so, I don't know where this podcast reaches, but if there are those that are in your guys' boat, I want them to hear those messages. I want to hear the flexible hours, the good pay, the relationships, the being outside, being around the game, all that kind of stuff is let's just say those positives far outweigh the negatives. And in my experience, I was not a high level player. Some would even say that what I was doing was playing. It was just out there filling a space with goalkeeper gloves on. But I did that for a little while. And so I made that transition too. I wasn't nearly what you guys were doing, but I share a lot of those same reasons of why I've stayed into refereeing. And so I hope that some can hear this and maybe this gets passed along to go, hey, you should try to hop in too. This is a good opportunity. So some of the other questions I've shared with you in advance, I'd like to just hash through here briefly because I'm curious the answers. In this transition from player to referee, is there anything that stood out? Was there issues in that, or were there eye-opening moments? I'll just open. I mean, Isaac's furiously shaking his head, so let's start with him.
Yeah. So to be honest, when I started reffing, I always thought, oh, hey, this will give me an appreciation for refs. I like I said earlier, I give refs a hard time. So I was like, maybe this will get me to calm down a little bit. And honestly, it did the opposite. I started getting more upset with the refs because I'm like, oh, you don't even know the rule. I'd see someone that didn't know the rules, and I'd get upset they didn't know the rules. But as I've gone through it and as I've gotten older, especially in college, I've started to notice how many players I've played with at a high level don't actually know the rules. There were times when a lot of my teammates would be like, well, that's okay, that's allowed, and it's like, actually, it's not. It's not even close to being allowed. So I found myself being almost the mitigator between or mediator between the team and what the referee crew was doing that day. And they'd be like, they just kept coming to me with questions of like, well, how is this? Is this allowed? Is this not allowed? And I was like, I feel like you should know this, but being a referee really helped with that. So.
Yeah, I think, Anthony, you've told me some stories about even with your coaching staff at times.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. So yeah, actually, my coach would always, during a game, whether I was on the field or off the field, ask me a question either at halftime or there, what was that? Why is that a drop ball? Or, why does this team have the ball there? Or what happened here? Every time with the referees. So it's kind of funny. I was able to kind of teach my coaching staff and my players as well, because I was always like, known as the referee on the team. So whenever it came to just like laws of the game, that's something that really helped me as well, because as a player, you're able to explain things. I also understand Isaac though, because of course, when a referee then messes up, you hold them to a level because you're a referee and you're like, oh man, they might have messed that one up. But also it gave me just another way to empathize with referees, because, we're referees, we make mistakes, we're all human, but I think that's part of the game. Players make mistakes in a game, just like referees do. And so we got to live with it. We got to move on, not hold grudges. And so I think that, for example, as a referee, then I can also understand players. I can empathize with them. So I like to manage situations. I'm like, hey, I understand your emotion here. And then I can just kind of talk to players. And that as a referee, that's helped me a lot because, I understand player emotions now a lot better, and I can talk to them or cool them down. And so, yeah, refereeing has definitely helped out both, with playing and the other vice versa. So it's definitely great.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, refereeing, I find myself saying like to players, hey, I get it. I get why you're upset. I feel like I'm saying that all the time because I understand. I'm with you. You get it. You understand why they're so riled up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with Anthony 100%. Like one of the main things I experienced from transitioning player to referee is the empathizing with the players. Like they will kick the ball after a foul. Hey, don't do that. You know that's not right. They're like, okay, yeah, I know. Like those things are key, and having that relationship with them, they see you also as like you're a young referee, so they see kind of you as one of them. So they also like, I mean, as far as with me, like they don't disrespect me, or they don't cash at me or anything. Like they understand that, they know that we play, they know that we know the rules, and that really helps also in the relationship player referee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of you guys have already begun to answer the next question, and that is, did becoming a referee, I mean, was there impact kind of back and forth? Was moving from playing to refereeing helping you become a better referee, and vice versa? Is there anything else you want to add to that, as far as did one help the other, Anthony?
Yeah, so I didn't touch upon it, but for example, like I'm sure all of our fitness levels, I know, Isaac, you're a keeper, but being a center defensive mid, playing in the center mid, like as a referee now, I feel like that's helped me throughout the years, because I've already gotten, fit playing, and that endurance has kind of helped me as well when it's long matches, or when it goes into overtime and things like that. So that's just something that I want to say, that like as a player, I don't know, if just feeling like the movement and positioning have kind of helped with refereeing, for example. So that's just one thing I want to say, physically wise.
Yeah, very good. Absolutely. You guys have anything else to add on that?
No, not really. Yeah, I mean, I think all the points have been touched.
Yeah,
fair enough. So what advice would you give to a current player who's teetering and thinking, maybe I want to give this a shot?
Do it. I don't think there's any harm. Yeah, there's no harm in doing it. It's a pretty fun job, and I think one of the biggest things that these two touched on earlier, and I can ultimately agree with, there's a really good friendships that can come out of this. I've met some really good friends through reffing, and if you take the chance, it's a good opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say definitely. I don't regret it personally, and I know a lot of my friends that are referees don't either, that were players. So whether it's to make an extra buck or to stay a part of the game, I think that it's definitely worth it. I've made some of my best friends through refereeing, and again, you never know where it can take you with opportunities. So just keep working hard, and you never know. Just be patient. But ultimately, yeah, it's really fun to get outside and stay fit, be around the game that you love, and just kind of see the game from a different angle. Because at the end of the day, at some point your playing career might end, but you can always become a referee and help out in your community. So yeah, definitely would do it.
Yeah, I'll say go for it. Like, I don't regret it, and I want to keep moving up. So this is just the beginning.
Yep.
Absolutely. I love that. I think staying a part of it and connected to the game is a really big piece. I think you all three have touched on that in some way. I think whether it's refereeing or coaching or some capacity, staying connected is huge. And I think giving back in one of those capacities, I'm partial to the referee side. Obviously, I'd love to have referees come in, but giving back as a coach, getting involved at whatever level, whether it's just recreational or more competitive premier type leagues or something, giving back in some way, I think is huge. So again, wherever this podcast is reaching right now, hopefully someone it's landing and the right person's contemplating this. And so if there's a way that if you're watching this and you're interested in getting involved in refereeing, whether you're in Kansas or not, please reach out to us. Send me an email, Gordie, Gordie at checkandpleatpodcast.com. And I can help you get connected wherever you are. I've got a friend that reached out and said, I've got a buddy in Austin, Texas that wants to get into refereeing. And I'm like, well, I don't know anybody in Austin, but the referee world is small. And so we can get you connected. And so we'll do whatever we can to get you connected. And hopefully maybe in a year, whoever you are, you can be on our podcast talking about your transition from player to referee. So is there anything else you guys, like I always ask our guests, is there anything else that if you don't say it, you're going to have a hard time sleeping tonight? Anything?
Feel like we touched up on everything.
You did. You guys were fantastic. Most of you. I won't say who was the worst. But no, I'm just kidding. You guys were great. You guys were great. I appreciate each of you so much. Looking forward to continue to see you develop. I know Anthony and Marcos are in our college chapter, and Isaac, you are going to be in our college chapter very soon. So keep working hard, guys. Everybody in our area is extremely proud of you and thankful to have young, fit, and excited young people to referee. So thank you so much. But appreciate your time, fellas, and keep it up.
Thank you, Gordie.
Thank you, Gordie.
We keep up the phenomenal work with the podcast.
I will try. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
If I've got any closing remarks, it's subscribe to Check Complete.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
you know you're
podcast.
not getting.
Sure.
You know you're not getting paid for this, right? That's
This has been episode 007 of the Check Complete podcast. We really thank you for listening, watching, whatever you did. We appreciate it. Jason, thanks for being with us
It
today.
is always a pleasure to work with you, Gordie.
It's great to have you.
Looking forward to more opportunities.
There will be more. There will definitely be more. We haven't done a word of the week or 2 weeks in a while, so we brought it back. And the word is
Kerfuffle.
kerfuffle, and that is Kerfuffle.
And for those of you needing a definition on that, it is a British informal word. So probably even better if you say it with an accent. It is a fuss or a commotion. So
yes.
definitely something that can be worked into games pretty easily. You know, you get a couple players going at each other.
They're in a bit of a kerfuffle.
It's a hard word to say with a British accent.
Cheerio,
not
it's a kerfuffle, mate.
That's pretty good.
Mate?
I'm very throwing a mate. It works.
You
Yeah.
put a mate
Yeah.
in there, it always works, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so so kerfuffle. Work that in this week. If you work it into your game, we need to hear about it. Please
Yes,
tell us. If we don't hear anything, then we'll be sent into a kerfuffle. And we won't like that. So we hope you enjoyed the segment we talked about. Jason and I talked at length about just how much do we listen to, how do we engage, more that kind of coach-referee connection, and how can that be done successfully to have the best game day experience for all involved. And then a big thank you, to Jason, but also a big thank you to Anthony and Marcos and Isaac in our From Player to Referee segment. Big thank you to those guys for taking a second to join. Again, if you know someone that's kind of pondering that, as they even said in there, just do it. Tell them I think it'll be an outstanding decision for those that know the game, that are still fit, all that kind of stuff. I think they'll really, really enjoy and get connected. If we can help, even if you're not in Kansas City, we would love to try to get you connected to get started as a referee.
It's a great way to stay connected to the game. Like I love reffing high-level games because I get to be connected to what's happening when I can't still play myself. So for former players, it's a great way.
Yeah, it really is. So as always, you can reach out to us. Please follow us or like and subscribe to everything on YouTube there, on Facebook, Check Complete Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram at Check_Complete. Reach out to us. Questions at checkcompletepodcast.com or Gordie, Gordie at checkcompletepodcast.com. We'd love to hear from you if you have any suggestions or ideas for future segments or want to provide your 2 cents on what you've heard today. I'd especially love to hear it if you guys have different responses and things that have gone well for you. Not that we necessarily want to script everything out, but sometimes it's helpful. And I'd like to start kind of sharing some of those out over the next couple of weeks over our social media platforms so that maybe some of the younger officials or those that are looking for more tools in their box for how do I respond when situations arise. It's always best to kind of read it and not just use a rote response, but some of those are good to have. Just little things that have been like, you know what, this has been helpful to dovetail off what Jason said earlier. If you have any negative feedback for us, we'd encourage you to purchase a Sporty Messenger bag from Official Sports International that retails at $49.95, and then stuff them all in to the Sporty Messenger bag and mail it to us, and we'll be sure to get right back to you on those complaints. Well, it's been fun.
That's one complaint per bag, actually.
It is. It is.
Because we have staff to,
Right. Yeah. It's just easier for us. So, and you can, if you don't like the process of the complaint, that's another bag.
Right.
Yeah. And another note.
Yeah.
So just get to writing. Jerks. Anyway, so thanks for being here, Jason. Thank you for listening to the Check or watching or both to the Check Complete podcast. We'll be back with episode 8 very soon.